Maine's best entertainer, DJ Abe Alley, your girlfriend's favorite DJ.
Ooh.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for coming in. My name is Abe Alley with the Abe Alley Podcast right here on Anchor.fm. Glad to be part of the family. This is my first episode that I'm coming to you with. I have an extraordinary story to tell everybody here tonight. But before I do, please go ahead. If you want to give me an email, please email me at theabealleypodcast@yahoo.com. All lowercase letters. theabealleypodcast@yahoo.com. Go ahead, send me an email. Also, send me a voice message right here on Anchor.fm. I'd love to hear from you guys. I want some feedback, and I want to connect with everybody. So, once again, send me an email and give me a voice message right here on Anchor.fm. If you don't know who I am, my name is Abe Alley with the Abe Alley Podcast, Abe's Corner. And this is my first full episode right here on Anchor.fm. Very excited, and I have a great story to share with everybody here tonight on the podcast. You know, I've told this story a few times in my life, and this is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me, so I want to share it with everybody because it's very extraordinary. It's very interesting. And I feel like my first show on this Anchor.fm is going to be fantastic. And I want to come out with a bang. I want to come out with a great story for everybody because I want you to know that what I'm going to tell you here tonight on this podcast is 100% true. And if you guys heard my trailer teaser just a couple days ago, I told you I would talk about conspiracy theories and everything else in between. So I'd like to get into my story, and I hope you guys have a little bit of time because it's going to take me a little bit to get to where I want to be with this story. And I'd love for you guys to sit here and listen to me and listen to what I have to say, because from what happened to me a long time ago, I don't think a lot of people have experienced this. So sit down, relax, grab a drink, and let's get right into it. So back in 1992, I was going to be 10 years old in December. So I was 9 years old at the time, and it was a crisp fall evening. I'm not sure if it was like an August or a September night, but my dad used to like taking me and my brother for joyrides in the evening. And when I say the evening, I'm talking about 9:30, 10:30 p.m. It was always dark out, and he liked taking us for a ride. And he always liked to, just talk to us, and, because it was just me and my brother, and, I guess that was a good way of kind of spending time with Dad. But this one evening, my brother was sitting in the front seat with my dad, and I was sitting in the back seat of the car. And we took a ride down to Cape Split. I'm from the great state of Maine, and Cape Split is right on the coast, Atlantic Ocean of Maine. And this is where we were. I grew up in a lobster fishing community. So we were taking a ride, and we were parked right on the shoreline. There was a turnout in Cape Split. And I told you guys on my teaser podcast, my 5-minute teaser, that I was going to come with you and tell you some stories and some conspiracy theory stuff. Now, this isn't a conspiracy theory, but this is my experience, is what I'm going to tell you. It may jump in the conspiracy theory category, but I'm going to let you guys decide. So we were sitting there in the car, and I remember the radio turning static. And my father was looking out over the ocean, and there were 3 islands, wide open ocean, bright night, no clouds, and my dad was telling us to look over to the left because there were these 2 bright lights coming up over this center island. There were 3 islands. These 2 bright lights were coming up over the islands, and the islands were about a mile away from us, roughly. And I still have the image in my head. My father had the window rolled down all the way. There was no sound, just obviously the waves crashing onto the rocks and on the sand beach. A typical Atlantic Ocean sound. And I remember my brother starting to go crazy in the front seat because I don't know if he was scared. I don't know what was going on. But he started like kicking and screaming and punching the window and all kinds of stuff. My dad was telling him, calm down, calm down, calm down. Relax, relax, relax. Calm down, BJ. BJ, that's his name. That's my brother's name, BJ. Bernard Jr. And the radio was static. It wasn't static before this. But when I looked and saw these 2 bright lights hovering over this island, the radio went static. So I was intrigued. 9 years old. What was I looking at? What were we seeing? Like I said, there wasn't any sound. We sat there and watched these things for probably 10 to 15 minutes, if, as much as I can recall. This was back in 1992, so almost 30 years ago. And I was looking, and it was like 2 amber lights, and they were bright. But then they started going up the river, the Addison River, Pleasant River, I guess you could call it. And so we decided to follow these things. I remember looking down at the speedometer, and we were going like 75 miles an hour. And my dad couldn't catch up with these things. So we were going pretty fast, and these things were moving pretty good. And I remember seeing these bright lights through the trees when we were on the Basin Road. I remember looking out and kind of seeing the lights through the trees every once in a while. And then we came up to the Addison Bridge, which was about 4 miles away from Cape Split, maybe 5. And we came up to the Addison Bridge and parked there. I remember my father opened the door, and we were looking to our left because we knew these things were coming up the river. So we were kind of waiting for them to see if we could see anything else. I remember sitting in the back seat just looking down at the river. A couple minutes passed by, and these lights were coming at us. At this time, they were about a half a mile away from us. I have photos, and I have documentation of this incident, which I'll tell you about after I tell you my story. There's another spin to this story that you guys are going to be very, very intrigued about, and I can't believe it, actually. What are the odds of this? So let me finish my story first, and then I'll get into that. Here come these 2 lights coming towards us about a half a mile away. They're about 250 feet off of the ground, so that's not very high. They were very low. and there was no sound. Zero sound whatsoever. And we were looking, and all of a sudden, they got within, I would say, maybe an eighth of a mile to us. And all I remember was boom, they were gone within a split second. And I remember seeing, I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm seriously getting chills and goosebumps on my skin right now. These things disappeared within a second. They were absolutely gone. I heard a sonic boom. They broke the sound barrier. Both of them were absolutely gone, just like that. Disappeared, gone. And I remember looking up. You could see like a streak of light go up when they disappeared, up into the stars. And I remember looking up at the stars, and I couldn't tell which star was there and which one wasn't. These things were gone in a matter of a millisecond. It was over. They broke the sound barrier. It was unbelievable. In my experience, I think about it all the time. I don't know if anybody else has experienced the same thing that I've experienced, but that's pretty extraordinary. It's crazy. But it's the 100% truth. Now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to ask you something. Were those human? Were those alien? Was that something our government has created? I don't know. All I know is what I saw and what I heard. That's all I can tell you. And I was 9 years old, and I remember it just like it was yesterday. I remember talking to my dad and my brother about this incident. My brother is still alive. We talk about it every once in a while. He remembers it very vividly like I do. My dad since has passed. He passed away in 2007. But when I became an adult, I never really asked him about that night. I wish I would have. Because there may have been things that I have forgotten about that night. But I still can see the images in my head from where we were looking out at the islands. I still have the images in my head of my brother freaking out in the front seat. I still can see the two lights every once in a while through those trees when my dad was going 75 miles an hour up the Basin Road towards the town of Addison. I still can close my eyes like I'm doing right now, and I can see the image of when we were looking towards the river and the two lights were coming up the river. I can see it right now. And I'm getting goosebumps just telling you this. And I love sharing the story. People may think that I'm crazy. People may think that I'm fabricating a story because I want to get publicity, because I want to get views or listens or hits or whatever you want to call it. Abe Alley right now is telling you the 100% truth. And I'm very proud to sit here and talk about it, because it's something that I don't think a lot of people have experienced, and I have. I feel very fortunate to be sitting here right now telling you my story. The other part that I wanted to tell you about is that I'm a wedding DJ. And I was doing a wedding back in 2012. And I had just posted a YouTube video of my experience. I since now have deleted it. I kind of wish I didn't. But I just posted my experience on YouTube. It was like a 10-minute video. And I was going with the flow at this wedding reception, doing all the announcements, entertaining the people with everything that we were supposed to be doing, the dollar dance, everything. And I had a gentleman come up to me. And what are the odds of this? I had a gentleman come up to me with his iPad in his hand and look at me and say, "Is this you?" And he had my YouTube video on his iPad. He was sitting at one of the tables with his iPad, showing like 8 people at his table, showing them my video and me talking about my experience down in Addison, Maine, in Cape Split. Later on, after talking with him, the gentleman had a home down in Cape Split in 1992, right next to where our car was parked the night we saw these lights come up over that island. And he took pictures of these lights. And he has now sent those pictures to me. And I'm so unbelievably grateful that I could have all of this stuff and have this proof, because it's 100% true. What are the odds of somebody capturing those pictures the same night me, my dad, and my brother was sitting there in a car watching these things? This gentleman talked to me for over 3 hours on the phone one day because he couldn't believe that other people had seen what he had been seeing that night. He sent me the pictures. And wow, are those pictures worth 1,000,000 words? I have the pictures, and I can't explain to you how they make me feel. They bring me back to the night we were there. If you want to see these pictures, please go ahead. Send me an email at the Abe Alley Podcast at yahoo.com. The Abe Alley Podcast at yahoo.com. All lowercase. Send me an email. Let me know. If you want to see the pictures, I'll gladly show you the pictures. Absolutely 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my story. For my first full podcast right here on Anchor.fm, I'm talking about a UFO sighting and the experience I had back in 1992 when I was 9 years old. Addison, Maine, 1992. Here I am sharing my experience with all of you. I'm very grateful, very happy to share it with you guys. And that's my story. I would love to have some feedback. Please go ahead, leave me a voice message right here on Anchor, or go ahead and email me, theaballeypodcast@yahoo.com. all lowercase. Also, if you want to see more and hear more of my story, go to my YouTube channel, DJ Abe Alley, the Abe Alley Podcast. Go on there, and I did a podcast live stream talking about my experience, and I put the pictures on that podcast. So if you want to see the pictures, go ahead on YouTube, check it out. Please subscribe. I'd love to have your support. And I want to thank you guys for sitting here and listening to my story. It brings me great joy to talk about it. I'm very happy you guys were here. So, with that being said, that is going to conclude my first ever podcast, full podcast right here on Anchor.fm. I appreciate you guys, and thank you so very much. I'll be back with you guys again very, very soon. I love you guys, and please go ahead, subscribe, and I'd love to have your support. Thank you so much again. Take care. And my name is Abe Alley, and this is the Abe Alley Podcast. Have a great night. Thank you so much. Peace.
Maine's best entertainer, DJ Abe Alley, with Total Events DJ service.